This video will make you fluent in 2025. I've distilled all of the videos, all of the guides that I've ever made into one single video, and it will help you become fluent this year. It doesn't matter if you want to get a job, if you want to travel, or if you just want to have friends in English, it will make you fluent.
So I want to introduce myself first. My name is Artem. I'm a non-native English speaker. I'm an introvert. I've never been in an English-speaking country before, and I've never completed any courses on vocabulary, grammar, or pronunciation. And yet I speak fluent English. I use English for work every single day, and I started my own YouTube channel in English that you are watching right now, right? And I teach people how to improve their English. I've helped more than 200 people improve their English inside of my English speaking school. So here's my English speaking school, here's my YouTube channel, and I also do a lot of speaking calls with my students and help them improve their English, right? So, and in this video, I'll share everything to help you do the same thing, to basically achieve the same result, right? And so please pay full attention, because if you're gonna skip around, check your phone all the time, it's not gonna work, right? Set the full screen, set this video on the full screen, so it's like, so you don't see anything else except the video, right? Then the second step for you will be to stop checking your phone, right? Do not check your phone, do not do something else at the same time, and do not skip around, right? And simply watch everything with full focus and full attention and take action. There are gonna be 10 chapters in this full guide, all right? So the first chapter is about listening, second is about reading, third is about writing, speaking, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, confidence, of course, pronunciation, mindset, and how to become more than a student. Let's start with the first one, listening foundation. So to improve your English, of course, you need to start with listening first, right? Of course, instead of speaking, instead of trying to speak and memorize a bunch of grammar rules, you need to start listening first. You need to listen to people first instead of trying to yap all the time, instead of trying to speak yourself, right? So the first step is to listen 5 to 10 hours per day. Like if you just started learning English, you definitely need to listen 5 to 10 hours every single day. This is no joke, all right? I mean, if you are an intermediate in English and you spend a couple of years learning English, so you definitely need to like pump the brakes a little bit and spend more time on reading, writing, and speaking, right? But if you are a beginner and if you struggle with pronunciation, with grammar, with vocabulary, of course you need to start listening and listen a lot, right? So it's like if you spend 5 hours every single day on listening and you do it for 30 days, you'll have 150 hours. 150 hours, it's like 15 days in UK, all right, in United Kingdom. You know, it's like if the day is 10 hours long and you spend 15 days, it's going to be 150 hours, right? So you will spend 15 days constantly talking to people, you know, not really talking, but listening to them, right? And so it's really good. It's like you don't need to go to an English speaking country to improve your English. You simply need to spend time listening, right? So the second step is to listen to what you enjoy, right? To get unlimited motivation to learn English, to spend 5 to 10 hours every single day on listening, all you need to do is to simply watch or listen to the stuff that gets you unlimited motivation, right? So for example, I used to watch Breaking Bad, and it was a really interesting TV show and I really enjoyed watching it. That's why I watched it until the end, right? I also watched like a donut course in the program called Blender 3D, you know, basically 3D modeling, because I was really interested in this, right? I was really curious about how can I make 3D models, right? So I wanted to make them, and I decided to watch videos in English. And this is basically how I started watching different stuff in English. Also, one of my students watches videos about fish koi, and it kind of helps him improve his English, right? Kind of strange, but he likes those fishes because he has like an aquarium inside of his property, and so he watches videos about fish koi, right? And it helps him improve English as well, right? So simply watch something that interests you. It could be anything, like a TV show, maybe a full course about how to create a donut in Blender 3D, maybe about fish koi, maybe about Minecraft, I don't know. It could be anything, right? So the first step is to improve the quality of the content you consume. It's like you've been consuming Breaking Bad, you've been consuming videos about fish koi and about Blender 3D, but well, it's kind of not that great at improving your English. So here's why. It's like the noob will watch movies, TV shows, and TikTok, and spend all of the time on entertainment, right? The advanced level will spend more time on long YouTube videos that are more than 20 minutes long, documentaries and stuff like this, right? That helps him improve his English more because 20-minute videos use more advanced vocabulary in English, right? They speak more, there's more dialogue than in movies. So for example, you watch a movie, there's like just like a 1 minute dialogue here and there, right? And there's a lot of action happening, a lot of blows, a lot of explosions, and people don't really talk, right? The same thing happens with TikTok. You scroll, 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 and there's not a lot of dialogue in English, right? If you want to take it a step further, you need to start watching YouTube videos that are more than 20 minutes long and where there's a lot of people talking, right? Then also watch documentaries about different topics as well, like about animals. If you watch videos about animals, documentaries about animals, guess what? You will be fluent when you want to talk about animals. If you want to talk about traveling or a specific country, watch documentaries about specific country or traveling, right? Easy. And if you want to become a pro in this, you need to start watching podcasts and audiobooks, right? Because this is just a continuous stream of the conversation, right? If you want to be able to speak for 1 hour with a native speaker, you have to mimic the conversation. You have to have like a long conversation with a person, right? And so to get that conversation, you simply need to listen to people who do the same thing, right? Who also have like a conversation for 1 or 2 or 3 hours, right? And that's how you will be able to become fluent, by listening. So simply improve your output, improve the quality of the content that you consume, right? And so here's why podcasts are simply better. So as I said, it's like in movies there are just short conversations. Hey Jesse, so today we're gonna cook meth, and then nothing happens. Then they drive in their car for 5 minutes and there's no dialogue, right? But when you listen to a podcast, there's just like a conversation. One person speaks for 5 minutes, then other person speaks for 10 minutes, then the first person can continue speaking for 15 minutes or so, and so they conversate with each other, and it is a really long conversation that lasts 1 to 2 to 3 hours, right? So that's why podcasts are simply better. And so also the fifth step is to celebrate wins. Like, did you notice how much you've improved? Did you notice how much you've improved by watching different stuff, right? So first you were a noob. You were watching just like a Minecraft Let's Play or something, or just like a normal YouTube video where there's not a lot of dialogue and the English is very simple. But then you started watching something more educational, maybe something that requires a higher level of English. And so now you're an advanced level, right? So celebrate your wins. You actually did a lot of progress. Congratulations. So a few years ago, you couldn't even understand English, but now you watch this video right now without a problem, right? So congratulations. And write down a comment with your 3 recent achievements. So if you want to take it a step further, you need to write down a comment with your 3 recent achievements in English, all right? So if you're an action taker, if you really want to take it a step further and improve your English, write a comment right now telling about 3 recent achievements that you've made in your English learning journey, all right? And so the last step is a tip, actually. So the tip is like when you watch a video on YouTube. Yeah, this is me bold, I know. Random, I know. So when you watch a video on YouTube, you can learn new words. So one of my members inside of my community, Mateus, recommended me this application. It's not an application, but like an extension to Google Chrome, right? So it's called Language Reactor, and I'm not sponsored, by the way. So this application allows you, not an application, but a extension inside the Google Chrome browser that allows you to simply click on the subtitles of the video, right? And then check the definition of the word, right? So it works greatly if you want to learn new words, but you don't want to go to a Google Translate, or you don't want to, let's say, simply go to ChatGPT and check the definition of the word or ask Google for it, right? You can simply click on the subtitle and check the definition of the word, right? It works great. And if you really struggle with watching like a long, heavy podcast with a lot of new words, this will help you tremendously, all right? So now this is all you needed to know about listening. Now let's talk about reading. Reading is really important because if you can't read, you can't write, all right? So even one simple book in English will change the way you speak and think. Like, there is no way you can speak fluently if you read more than 20 books for natives, of course. Like, if you read graded readers for English beginners, of course, you will not become fluent in English, right? But if you read like somewhat challenging books for native speakers, 20 of them, you will become fluent in English. Like, this is no joke. Simply start reading books because this is really important, all right? And make it simple and comfortable. Like, it's just like when you watch a TV show. So, for example, you watch a TV show with popcorn, with Coca-Cola, with tea or coffee, and you just relax, right? You're relaxed, you're enjoying. So why not do the same thing when you are reading? Why should you like sit like this when you can just sit like this, grab coffee or tea or like cookies or something and start reading the book? This will definitely help you to read more, right? So also make it simple for yourself. Do not read like a complicating book. Do not start with Bible, right? Of course, you can read the Bible because this is a great book, but of course you need to start with something that is more easy for you and your nervous system, because if you start with a really difficult book, you will not understand anything. So there's no point in reading a difficult book first. And it is a lot better to read a simple book because you will learn a lot of new vocabulary and it will help you tremendously with it, right? You can read the book The Magic of Thinking Big. So these are the book's recommendations that are really easy to read. So for example, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz, right? Harry Potter by G.K. Rowling, and Who Moved My Cheese by Dr. Spencer Johnson, right? And the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. So you can read these four books, and a lot of people inside of my community actually read these books and they said that it's actually easy to read them, right? So this is what happens when you read simple books. One of my followers, Fabiola, read the book called Buddhist Boot Camp. So this is a really simple book to read. It's like 100 pages long. It's not that long, right? And the book is really simple to read. Maybe I would say it's for beginners in English. Buddhist Boot Camp was the first book I read in English without translating sentences, just using Kindle Dictionary to see the meaning of many words, right? So she was able to read this book without translating words, but of course she needed to like check some words in order to understand the book, right? So if you read a really simple book, it will help you get the habit going, right? It will help you start the habit and keep it going in order to read more books and in order to finish 20 books to become fluent in English. The third hack or tool or step, I don't know, is to never memorize anything you can look up. So this is what Einstein said, right? So select a word and look it up in a dictionary. It's like when you want to know the definition of the word, you don't need to memorize the word. You don't need to learn the word. You don't need to do anything with the word. Only thing you need to do is to just select the word and look it up in a dictionary. So for example, I can select the word dictionary here, right? And I can double click or click the right mouse button and look up dictionary, right? And it shows me the dictionary of the word dictionary. Yeah, that's ironic. So if the word appears multiple times, its meaning will naturally become clear, right? So if you check the definition of the word just one time, you looked up the definition of the word dictionary in a dictionary, then you will be able to understand what this word means later because you simply did it before. You have the memory of this word, of the definition of this word, right? So that's why you don't need to even like write down new words. You don't need to write down translations of new words and definitions. All you need to do is to just read the book, preferably on your phone or on your computer or like Kindle or something, and then just check the definitions of new words, right? And this will naturally help you learn new words without actually doing anything, right? It's really simple. And also I want to say that I have books recommendations for you. So I recommended you these 4 books, but if you want more recommendations, you can check the free books recommendations PDF inside the description, right? Now let's talk about writing. So this is all you need to know about reading. Now let's talk about writing. This is really important because writing is just like speaking, but slow, right? So you have more time to think and improve when you're trying to write, right? Because like when you're trying to speak, when you're just speaking like I am right now, I can make a mistake. I just made a mistake. I can't. And then I stopped, right? Well, when I make mistakes, I simply cannot fix it. I cannot fix it. The word just came out of my mouth and I can't fix the mistake unless I try to say that again with a proper pronunciation or proper grammar or proper vocabulary, right? So, but when you are writing, you have the ability to change the word, right? I can even show it to you right now. So, for example, maybe I want to change the word writing to, well, let's say speaking skills, right? So I just changed the word, right? But you can't do the same thing when you are speaking, right? So the first tool that can help you improve your writing is journaling. So it's like this is what I am doing every single day, almost every single day, right? I'm journaling on my upcoming day. So before the day starts, I simply uh, talk about what I'm gonna do today, right? So, for example, I took a cold shower at 5 a.m. That's great. Well, train of thought has been derailed. Let's be honest. Like, I don't want to explain this. This is a complicating sentence, but it does not matter. I have a whole day ahead of me, right? I'll begin by brainstorming the online event. Then I'll record 3 videos. Then I'll be free to read books and do other stuff. Then I'll have a call. Then I'll have more time for contemplation and reading. So, this is what I wrote on November 11th, Black Friday. This is random, I know, but it was November 11th, and I basically answered this question, not a question, but a prompt. So here's what I'm gonna do today. Here's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna begin by brainstorming and stuff like that, right? So this is really simple, and it allowed me to improve my writing, right? So also I said about here's what I did today in the beginning. I took a cold shower at 5 a.m. That's great, blah blah blah. So this is the first way to improve your writing by daily journaling and stuff, right? And you can also do the same thing when you are reading the book, right? So for example, I read the book 33 Strategies of War, and there was like a principle in the book which was called create a sense of urgency and desperation. Yeah, sounds horrible, but actually it is helpful for your self-improvement because am I getting a little way too comfortable? Yes. Do I have things to fall back on, right? Kinda. So it simply states, so this principle states that if you have sense of urgency and desperation, you will want to achieve your goals. You will be desperate to achieve your goals. So if you don't understand, doesn't matter. Because if you simply read a book that is less complicating the 33 strategies of words, for example, Magic of Thinking Big, and there's like a principle, for example, think big, right? For example, think big. And if you think big, then you can elaborate on that and you can journal on this, like I did. Am I getting a little way too comfortable? Yes, blah, blah, blah. So I just started talking about this book and about how the principle applies to myself. So, for example, can I think more bigger? Can I think bigger, right? Can I think bigger? And when I ask myself this question, I can say that, well, actually, I'm not really thinking big in this area. Like, I want to improve my relationships, so I'm thinking that I can think more bigger and this will allow me to get better relationships or something like this, right? Or maybe I want to get more money, so I need to think bigger. I need to think about like $10,000 per month instead of $1,000 per month, and I will become rich, right? Something like this. So take notes on the book and try to journal on the book. Try daily journaling. It's like when you're reading a book, instead of just simply consuming the book, you can also journal on the book. But it is like a taking it a step further because if you're a beginner, if you're reading your first 3 or 4 or 5 books, it is completely okay to just read the book without trying to write down anything, right? But if you did find something important and you want to write it down, of course you can do it, right? So also, there's a really good note-taking strategy. So, I read the book 32 Strategies of War, and there was a principle: do not fight the last war. And so I simply copied the stuff from the book, the words from the book, and I rephrased them in my own way. Be like Napoleon, he enters the battle with boldness, never allows himself to be swept by the influence of the past. Try to do what fits the situation best in the present. So basically, it means that be like Napoleon, stop thinking about the past and be in the present, right? So this is a note-taking strategy that can allow you to improve your writing skills in English as well as speaking, right? Simply take notes on what you found important, on the principles from the book that you found important, and try to rephrase it in your own way. If you can't rephrase the sentence from the book, simply copy the sentence, right? because you will read the sentence a couple of times by trying to copy it, then copying it, then reading it again. So it will help you improve your writing and reading as well, right? So the third step, the third like tool that you can use is write comments and posts, right? So here is a post from Benjamin Bernardi, and he made a really big post about Magical Thinking Big, about this book, about the book Magical Thinking Big. And so when you write these big posts about books, about different stuff, about maybe you want to share a meme, or maybe you want to, I don't know, share feedback with somebody, or maybe you want to write a comment underneath my video right now and share something, right? Share your story or something like this. This will help you improve your writing tremendously, right? So these three things will improve your writing tremendously. And like, you don't need to write boring essays, or you need to improve your grammar. All you need to do is to just practice it with writing posts, comments, and stuff like this, right? So I can advise you to do it on platforms like YouTube, on this platform, and the platform called School, right? This is a great platform for people who want to like find a community, right? So you can also try these two as well. You can try like it's called Reddit, not Discord. By the way, you can try Discord as well. But so Reddit and Twitter is called X, right? So you can try these two as well, but I think that these two are better because like there's less negativity, because like these two platforms kind of seem negative to me, but if you like them, if you like using them, and if you found great communities in these platforms, then of course you can use them as well, right? So the fourth and the last, not the last but not least, the fourth tool is to use ChatGPT. I mean, this is really easy, really simple. Like, all people probably use ChatGPT right now, but if you don't, try using it today, because it is really powerful. Simply, you can ask these three questions when you are trying to write a text: fix grammar, show me where I've made mistakes, simplify, right? So the first one will help you improve your grammar. The second one will basically coach you, right? So if you made a lot of mistakes in the text and you want to see where you've made mistakes, and you want somebody to coach you and to show why you've made the mistake, how you can fix it, you can ask ChatGPT to show where I've made mistakes. And then you can also ask it to simplify the text as well. So to simplify the text is like, if you wrote a gigantic text in English and it seems really complicating to read it, and you think that people will not understand you, simply ask ChatGPT to simplify it, right? So, and the last step, finally, it's gonna be the last one, yeah. Simply, writing is all about input and output, right? So when you are writing something, it's all about input and output. So for example, this is output: journaling, taking notes, and writing a post. So these three steps, this is output. And the input is like the book or the video. So this video is like an input for you. You can write a comment about this video, right? You can write a post. You can take notes from this video. You're probably doing it right now. You can journal on this video and think about what you did wrong. Like, how can you improve your English speaking skills? How you can do it better? How you can improve your English learning, right? Simply have input and then output, because if you simply try to write without input, without getting some input, you will not be able to write, because you will have zero ideas on what you should write about, right? And the same thing happens with speaking. So now let's talk about speaking. So enhance speaking skills. I mean, that's why you came here. You came here to improve your speaking skills. So I think that doing everything else is just as important as speaking. So if you're not writing, reading, or listening, you will have a hard time speaking. It's like, if you want to improve your speaking, and if you want to do it simple, easy, and fast, of course you need to focus on these three things first. If you just want to improve your speaking skills, if you don't want to write at all in your entire life, of course you can start with speaking, right? And maybe in the future do some writing, right? If you don't like reading books at all, if you think that, oh, fuck books, like fuck them, I don't like them, right? If you just hate them fully and like you don't want to read a single book in your life, then of course you can start speaking, but it's gonna be harder for you, right? I'm just saying. So the first advice is to realize that speaking is just like writing, but with your mouth. So when you are speaking, it's the same thing. It's like Remember, I showed you the diagram with writing. It's like input and output. So input and output, right? And the same thing happens with speaking. If you want to improve your speaking, you are basically doing the same thing as I told you about writing. You simply journal daily, you take notes, and you write comments or posts. But in speaking, it's kind of different. You cannot simply like take notes with your voice. What? Well, actually, you can. Like, you can journal by taking voice notes. You can take voice notes on the book. You can also record a post instead of writing a post. So, for example, you can record a video and it's also a post, right? So right now I'm recording a post on YouTube. So how do you speak and how much should you do it? First, you can simply turn on your camera and start recording yourself speaking in English on the camera. So yeah, you probably know this advice. You probably heard it before. You can also record a voice message as well, voice memo or something like this. Type to enter text. Yeah, that's funny. And you can also go on speaking calls, right? So I do speaking calls inside of my community, and you can find different communities on the internet, on Discord, on, I don't know, like there are communities everywhere where you can find people who with whom you can speak, right? You can even go to offline events with people outside, right? And speak to them as well. And so how much time do you need to spend on speaking? Actually, it's really simple. It's like 80-20. So you spend 80% of the on the input, right? For example, you have 10 hours in your day, right? So you can spend 8 hours on listening and 2 hours on speaking, right? For example. Or if you have 5 hours, you can spend 4 hours on listening and 1 hour on speaking, right? Really simple, really easy. And well, you just don't need to speak a lot, actually. Like if you want to improve your speaking, it's all about listening, right? Actually, when you're trying to speak to people, it's all about listening. It's not about speaking, because if you try to spend more than 2 hours speaking, you are gonna get tired, all right? So I think that speaking more than 1 or 2 hours per day, it's like maximum. Like even I spend less than 2 hours per day speaking in English, right? I spend more time listening to people. So as you can see, speaking is really easy, especially when you start writing and you do these 3 simple exercises, right? Daily journaling, note taking, and writing comments and posts. So because writing is just like speaking is kind of like writing. And so when you do speaking or writing, you will basically improve your output tremendously and you will start speaking English fluently, right? So now let's talk about the last 4 things. Not the last 4 things, but the big 4 things: vocabulary, grammar, confidence, and pronunciation. Master vocabulary. So now let's talk about how to finally master vocabulary and how to finally get as many words as possible into your brain, all right? So how we should start mastering vocabulary, right? This is the real question. Well, this principle exercise, I don't know how to call this, is called consume and release. This is like the best way I found to learn a lot of new words, right? Consume and release is just like input and output, right? So you simply consume, you input information, and then you release, you output the information. So it's like breathing air, basically. Let me explain to you in the very simple terms, right? When I found this, I was blown away, right? So it's like breathing air. For example, when you're breathing air, it's like you're inhaling, right? You are inputting the air and then you are outputting the air. You are releasing the air by breathing out, right? So when you eat food, it's like you are consuming the food, right? You input the food and then well, we're not going to go into details what you do on the well, you understand, right? Hopefully. So the same thing happens with water. You drink water and then you release water somewhere else, right? It also happens with information. So this is what we need, because vocabulary equals information. Vocabulary basically means new information. Vocabulary basically equals information, right? You're trying to learn new information. So it's like when you consume a lot of information, then you want to release it, right? You want to speak the information, right? Because if you don't release the information, you know what will happen? You will forget about it. It's like when you breathe air and you're trying to consume as much air as possible by breathing in, But then you need to breathe out the air before breathing in again, because if you can't simply breathe in more air, right? You will die. It's like I can't breathe in no more, you know? No, it's like if I eat more food, yeah, I finally need to breathe out. I finally need to release the air, right? So if you want to eat more food, you need to first release the food that you ate 2 days ago, right? So the same thing happens with water. You simply cannot drink as much as possible. You will become bloated and you will die, right? And the same thing happens with information. You will almost literally die because you consumed too much information. Some people actually sit on YouTube 14 hours every single day. They become depressed and they die, actually. You know, this is not a joke. If you consume too much information, it's going to become bad. As consuming too much food, you're going to become fat, right? If you consume too much water, it's also going to be bad for you. You will be sick, right? You will get sick. So the same thing happens with information. I can't stress this enough, but if you simply watch and read stuff in English, consume it without releasing the information, you will not learn anything, right? So this is how it happens in English learning. You simply need to consume the information by reading the book, right? So you consume the information. It's like this right here. It's like this. You simply consume the information by reading a book, right? And then you release it by journaling, taking notes, or writing a post. So this is what I was talking about previously. And this is how you learn new vocabulary, basically. You know, like there's nothing complicating about this. You don't need to know anything else. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to write down new words. You virtually don't need to do anything. You simply do this simple exercise by reading a book or watching a video like this and then taking notes, then talking about this video, talking about this book. And that's how you will become fluent. That's how I became fluent. And that's how I teach my students. Simply go on a speaking call. We talk about the book or something else, or like a video on YouTube or music, for example. And then I give them the homework to like watch a video or read a book. They read this book, watch a video, and then they go on a speaking call with me and we talk more about the book or the video and stuff like this. And that's how they become fluent. Actually, there's three straight stages of learning. So this is really important, but there's also an important aspect to it, right? So if you want to learn specific words, you want to learn new words, you also need to know this, because this is really important. It's like, first, when you see a new word, it's like a new word to you, right? Wow, it's a new word. Like, I don't understand what the word disillusioned means. What the hell, right? Then it's like more about intuition. I've heard this word before, but I kind of understand what it means. I kind of recognize this word, but I'm not sure exactly. Costly? What is costly? I don't know. And then you master the word. Then comes mastery, right? I understand it fully and maybe I will use it sometime. So, for example, despite, I'm going to use this word somewhere in the future. So, as you can see, I use the word recognition. I recognize this word, but I'm not sure. So, I'm actually at the mastery stage with this word, right? And so there's also a word courage. So I know the word courage and I'm going to use it in the future in my talks, right? There are three stages of learning. And well, to become fluent, all you need to do is to just go to intuition stage, right? And to go to intuition stage is really simple. It's like you read a bunch of texts, you read a bunch of books, and you also watch a bunch of content, and then you basically talk or speak or write about it, right? And that's how you will move from new word to intuition, all right? So instead of new words being new words to you, they will become more intuitive simply because you've tried to use them in your conversation, even if you don't understand them, right? If you kind of understand them, but you're not sure exactly, you know? And that's how you make them more intuitive. And after a while, they will become you will become master of them. You will start using them, right? Never memorize anything you can look up. This relates to this one bit here because if you want to move to intuition, from new word to intuition, you also need to understand the word, right? You also need to understand what this word means. It's like you can use a dictionary to get the definition of the new word. And then after you use the dictionary, it's going to become intuitive to you quicker, right? It's like Of course, you can talk and try to understand the new words without going to dictionary, but if you go to the dictionary, it's gonna speed up the process, all right? But I've never used words I wrote down in the dictionary. Like a lot of people are writing down new words in a dictionary, but actually I've never used them before. Like in school, we had to make big dictionaries with a lot of new words and translations of them, but I've never used them. I needed to relearn them again when I was reading a book, right? It was really difficult for me. So I'm thinking that basically checking a dictionary without writing down words in your own dictionary is going to help you a lot. I'm not saying that to say that this is the best way to learn English. Maybe the better way for you is to write down words in a dictionary, who knows? But for me, like I'm just saying what works for me, right? And for a lot of people that I teach. That actually helped me to stop wasting my time. It's like checking the dictionary is the most simple and useful thing. It's like when you write down words in a dictionary, it's gonna take you a lot of time, right? But when you simply check the definition of the word in the dictionary is really simple, useful, and fast. So that's why I recommend this app called Language Reactor. That's what I was talking about in the listening part in the beginning. You can simply check the definition of new words in the subtitles, and you can do the same thing when you read a book. And so you check the definition of the word, and that's how you can learn new words without writing them down, without memorizing them. Simply look it up, right? So now let's talk about grammar. What the hell is this? Like, there's a guy dancing. Guy dancing. Uh, there's like another guy starts dancing with him. It's pretty good, right? Oh, he falls. He falls again. All right. That's good, right? What's gonna happen? There's a third guy. That's interesting. You know. Now there's five guys. Oh, whoa. Now there's a lot of people. So as you can see, this is how you will become fluent in English. You're like, what the hell is that? As you can see, there's a lot of people here. Like there's a whole circle, and it all started with just a single person. So what is this? It basically means that you are contagious. So what contagious is like you have a virus in your brain, and every single person has a virus, right? So for example, if you speak to a native speaker, you will become fluent simply because he will infect you. He's contagious and he will infect you with the virus of fluency, right? So grammar works the same way. It's like if you want to learn new grammar, you simply consume and release the information. You simply consume a lot of information. You try to learn from a native speaker. You try to listen to him a lot. You spend a lot of time listening to him. And then you release the information by trying to speak yourself, by trying to write down the tips that he gave you, for example, or something like this. And that's how you become fluent in English. So this is what AI does too, right? So AI tries to look at different pictures of a white tiger, right? To create its own version. And so it has to look at like 1,000 different pictures or something, and then it can create its own tiger, right? So if it took just two steps to not a lot of effort, just two steps to create a tiger, it's gonna look like this, basically shit, right? Nothingness, right? When there's like four steps, it still looks like, what the hell is this? Like it's creepy, right? Horror tiger or something. With six steps, it looks a lot better and finally resembles a tiger, right? Then with 10 steps, it looks even better. It looks gorgeous, actually. And with 20 steps, it looks like a high definition white tiger, right? So this is how you will get good at grammar. Simply at first, you're gonna suck. Your grammar will basically be this, and your vocabulary and your pronunciation will be this, right? But then when you look at different pictures, when you listen to different native speakers, when you listen to different people talking in English, not necessarily native speakers, when you listen to me, when you listen to podcasts, when you read books, you will create a better tiger for yourself, right? Your English will look like this after a while, right? So if you put a lot of effort into looking up, into like searching for different stuff and consuming a lot of stuff, and then outputting it, releasing it, you will become fluent and you will get good grammar, right? So simply consume and release your own version. This is what I did with my videos. Like when I started, before starting my YouTube channel, I had to look at a lot of different videos on YouTube. I had to simply try to understand how to make better YouTube videos. I was watching different videos on how to improve you're speaking on the camera, and how to improve your English to finally start speaking English, right? How to get more followers on YouTube, blah, 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 stuff like this. And so I was watching all these videos, and it helped me to create a better YouTube channel. It helped me to uh, become a better speaker and improve my English at the same time because I was listening to people in English, right? So that's how I was able to start speaking English fluently on the camera. So grammar is not necessary. So the last point I'm wanting to say is that, yeah, I did the same thing with my coaching clients. So one of my coaching clients started speaking English fluently in less than 2 weeks, right? In less than 2 weeks. Not really like super fluently, but he was able to start speaking. Before, he didn't speak at all, right? He learned grammar for 4 years and he couldn't speak at all. And after our sixth call, we were just laughing out loud like it's a piece of cake. We were just two friends talking with each other in English, right? And the thing is, he speaks a completely different language, so we cannot communicate with each other in any language except English, right? So he did the same thing. He consumed and released homework and speaking. So, as I've said, I'm giving them homework. I'm giving people homework. They watch a video. So the homework is watching a video or reading a book. And then we go on a speaking call and we discuss the book or the video. I'm asking them a bunch of questions, and then the cycle continues. And that's how people become fluent, right? Simple, easy, and fun at the same time, right? So now let's talk about how to build confidence. So actually, it's really simple. It's harder. Basically, to build confidence, you need to learn this simple phrase: harder than last time. Harder than last time, right? So I want to share my quick story. So before becoming a YouTuber, I used to just simply try to speak on the camera. I felt really unconfident. I didn't like my face at all, how I look on the camera. I thought like, who the fuck is this jerk? I don't want to listen to him. Like, you have like a voice that sounds like a girl, you know? Why do you want to create videos on YouTube? I hated myself, and so I didn't want to record myself. I tried doing it. I tried recording my videos, but it didn't work. I just looked ugly. I didn't want to upload the video on YouTube. So it took me a lot, like 3 months to record my first video, with my face. After that, I kind of gained a little bit of confidence. It was really hard, but I finally uploaded my first video on YouTube, right? I started making videos. I still felt uncomfortable, unconfident, not confident, uncomfortable, and it was really painful, it was really hard. I did videos on YouTube for almost a year. And so after that, I realized that, well, I kind of never spoke to people in English. Like, I always speak on the camera. It's really easy for me to speak on the camera, but I've never spoke to people before. Like, I want to help people improve their English, but I just spend a lot of time talking on the camera, explaining how to improve English without actually speaking to real people. So I decided to gather with my friends. It was really random. Like, one of my friends just basically said that, oh, maybe we should go to the website called Omegle and meet guys from different countries and talk to them. And I was like, oh, fine. I'm kind of nervous, but let's go. And so we started to talking with different people on Omegle. I don't know, they're kind of racist. To be honest, they were really strange. But it was like my first experience talking to people in English, right? After that, me and my friend met a guy in the town center who could only speak English. And so we had to communicate with him in English, but he didn't like actually speak English, so his English was really bad, but we were trying to communicate with him in English. Then I went on different speaking events outside. I didn't show the picture, I forgot to put it here. So then I started doing like calls with people. So it was like the first call, there was like me and my friend and we were talking in English. It was hard. Then another guy joined named Ali. Then I started going on more speaking calls. So there was like 4 people. And like at this very moment when I had this speaking call, I was like, fuck, how do I get out of the speaking call? I'm really nervous. I was really nervous talking to people on the speaking calls. So I don't want to show like the pictures of speaking calls because they're kind of private. That's why they're blurred. All right. So then I started going on more speaking calls. I do them 2 times per week. Now I do them 3 times per week. And I started meeting more and more and more people. I started talking to more people. And that's how I was able to build confidence. It didn't happen overnight. I didn't start speaking English overnight. I started speaking English by going through this entire process. And even before recording myself on the camera, I was just like, talking to myself. I was just trying to talk to myself in English because I felt unsure, I felt unconfident, not confident, and it was really difficult for me to even speak in English, you know. But then I gained confidence, and it was really gradual, you know. Like it didn't happen overnight, as you can see. I spent like a year building my confidence. Basically, do the activity that is harder than last time. Like tomorrow, do something more difficult. And this is how you will build confidence. Now let's talk about pronunciation. This is my favorite part because a lot of people tell me that I have such a good pronunciation, that I'm a native speaker. Like I was lazy to put all the comments, but there's like 1,000 different comments telling me that, well, your English is so good because your pronunciation is so good. Like, oh, I understand. Thank you. Thank you so much for these comments. But honestly, I'm tired of getting them, you know? Like, I understand that my pronunciation is good. And the single greatest thing that helped me improve my pronunciation to make it the way it is right now is music. You know, it's the same thing. I've consumed and released a lot of music. So it's like consume and release, listen and sing. You know, it's like I used to listen to a lot of music in English, and I used to sing also a lot of music in English. It's all about picking the right song that is really long. So this is the song that I memorized entirely. Eminem Beautiful. You can check it out. So I memorized this entire song, and basically that's what allowed me to have good pronunciation. I try to memorize it, not just the words, but the meaning and the how do I say it? The pronunciation of the singer, how Eminem sings this song. All right, I did it 10 times. I memorized a bunch of different songs that are this long. I did it more than 10 times actually. But if you do it just 10 times, you will sound like a native speaker. You will get the same comments, you know. I don't know where you'll get the same comments, but people will start complimenting you on your English as well. You simply need to memorize 10 songs in English and try to sing them as good as possible. Try to memorize the pronunciation, the correct pronunciation, and you will become fluent. This is it's really fun to do it, right? It's fun to listen to music. So why not do it? Like you can do it in maybe like a month and get perfect pronunciation. I'm not joking, all right? So your English is great as a non-native speaker. I hope to speak fluently as you in 1 year or something like this. So yeah, go ahead and start memorizing a bunch of songs. It will definitely help you master your pronunciation. So we talked about vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and confidence. Now let's talk about the native mindset. Actually, it's really simple. Just pretend that your native language does not exist. So you're like, what the hell are you talking about? So it's like the level 0 for a bunch of people, for people who want to learn their English, is like watching TV shows in English, setting your phone to English, setting your laptop to English, setting your computer to English, Googling stuff in English, right? This is the level 1. This is the level maybe even 0, right? This is the level of people who get like B1 level of English and they stop there, right? If you want to take it a step further, you need to start taking notes in English. You need to start making reminders in English. You need to start making grocery lists in English. You need to set papers on your wall, put papers on your wall, right? Like I do with like motivational quotes and stuff, right? Of course, like if there's like a wallpaper on your phone with motivational words, make it in English, all right? Then it's like if you do this, you will get to B1, B2, or you know, between B1 and B2 in English, but you still won't be able to speak in English, right? If you want to start speaking and writing and become really fluent, you need to start listening to music in English, you need to start reading books in English, you need to watch YouTube, all of YouTube in English completely. All right. You need to switch all of your social media to English. And this is how if you do these 3 things, you will start speaking English and it will be really easy for you. All right. If you want to take it a step further and make it even more like challenging, of course, it's going to be even more challenging, but at the same time, you will get a lot more rewards. All right. You need to upgrade your friends. Yeah, this is gonna get like really culty here, right? It's gonna get really hard here, right? You need to upgrade your friends. You need to make them or all in English, right? If you have friends who don't speak English, they are basically infecting you with your native language, and so you speak native language, spend time speaking native language instead of English, right? You need to live with an English speaker, All right, you need to have like a wife or a husband or a friend with whom you live and who speaks English as well, right? Not necessarily a native speaker, but an English speaker, right? If you want to take a step further, of course, find a native speaker. Then only chat with English speaking friends. You see where we're going, right? You need to simply change everything to English and finally move to English speaking country. So actually, I didn't do these 4 steps because they're really difficult. Even I can't do them, all right? But if you do them, you will certainly become fluent as soon as possible, right? If you do these 3 things, you will become fluent really fast. But if you do these 4 things, you will become fluent in no time, all right? But of course, for most people and for me, the first 3 things are enough, all right? So, yeah. And 2 weeks ago, I had to speak on a networking event in front of people in my native language. I failed actually. So there was like a networking event, and we had to present a person. So I had to present a girl talking about what she's doing, right? What is her like purpose in life, what she's trying to achieve, her goals and stuff like this. And I actually failed. Sorry, I'm really sorry, but couldn't do it simply because it was really difficult for me to speak in my native language. I didn't know how to say some words. And so I was like talking in my native language, and then I was like, yeah, so she's really cool at psychology and stuff like that. And so I started speaking in English after that. It was really difficult for me to speak in my native language simply because when you eliminate your native language, you will have more space for English, right? And you will think in English. That's how you start thinking in English. This native mindset is all about thinking in English. If you do these things, you will start thinking in English more. If you go to this level, it's like 80% of your thoughts will be in English, I promise, all right? It's the same thing. If you spend more time in your native language, your English, the space for English is going to be just a little bit, right, in your brain. If you spend more time on English, you will spend less time in your native language, right? The more space you allocate for English, the less space you will have for your native language. And the more space you have for your native language, the less space you will have for English. So if you really want to master your English, you need to spend like maybe half the time on it, right? You need to spend half of the time in English in order to really speak good English. If you have like a couple of months to prepare for a test for IELTS or something like this, you need to spend majority of your time in English. Majority, like you need to shut down everything, like close the door and only speak, think, and do everything in English, right? Don't even chat to your friends in your native language, right? Allocate as much time, energy, and focus as possible towards English if you really want to master it. And so the second tip is to make it a habit. The first person's habit is to do push-ups when he's bored, right? So he's bored, like, I don't know what to do with my life, so I'm just gonna do some push-ups, right? So the second person is like, I don't know what to do with my life. I'm nervous. Like, I just want to smoke, right? So when you're nervous and you smoke, of course you will have bad teeth. Of course you'll have bad lungs. Of course you will get like cancer or something, and you will die earlier, right? If you do more push-ups, you will become more jacked. And if you try to think in English when you notice your thoughts in your native language, you will start thinking in English and you will start speaking in English. So this is what I did. Every time I notice that I have thoughts in my native language, I'm like, maybe I should just switch them to English instead. Maybe sometimes I'm thinking out loud, talking to myself. Then I just simply switch it to English. I switch the entire dialogue to English, and this allows me to speak better English, right? So just make it a habit and start shifting your thoughts to English. So now let's talk about the last part of our conversation. Wait, the hell is this? Yeah, I hate this program, sorry. So become more than a student. Teach other people what you know. It's all about consuming and releasing information, right? So actually release part is all about teaching, and consuming is all about being a student, right? So if you want to take it even a step further and you want to become a teacher, you need to start releasing the information to other people, right? This is like the next step for you. When you consume a lot of information, you're basically learning, right? You're trying to learn new information. You are a student. But if you want to become a teacher, you need to start releasing the information. It's the same thing. You basically read the book and then you try to, let's say, not journal or take notes. For example, teach people this with your friends. So when I go on speaking calls with my members, I always ask them questions. You know why I don't like try to talk about stuff that I know simply because I want to help them to become teachers themselves. I ask them questions so they can answer me and they can provide me with information. So, for example, I ask, what do you think about productivity? What is the best tool for productivity? And they answer me, they give me tips on productivity, right? Maybe I know these tips, but I'm still going to ask the same question because it allows them to switch to teaching instead of consuming. And so when they teach me something, they become better. They become better at speaking in English, right? So this entire video is made to help you, right? I made this entire video so you can consume this video, right? But I also teach myself. I also teach myself at the same time. Like, I made this entire video. I shared all these tips to help you and to help myself, because I understand everything a lot better. And I've been practicing English for 40 minutes, like it's like 60 minutes or something, recording this entire video, right? So find a way to become teacher yourself, right? So this is really important because this allowed me to speak English fluently as I'm speaking right now by simply teaching people stuff, right? This is the end of this video. This is all I wanted to share. I hope that I inspired you today. I hope that I inspired you to start learning English. I hope that you learned something new from this video. And if you did learn something new, please leave a like and subscribe, right? This is what you can do to help me. And this is what I can do as a teacher. I can simply share all of this to you so you can learn and become a better person and a better English speaker as well, right? So with this knowledge, you will become fluent. I promise. Like, all of this took me 4 years or even more to understand, right? And when I understood all of this, I was able to start speaking English fluently. And also, I want to talk about my English speaking school. So English speaking school is a place where I teach people how to improve their English, how to improve their speaking skills, especially how can they become a teacher, how can they shift their mindset and become a better English learner. So we do speaking calls. We have different courses, we have different webinars where I'm the host. I explain how you can learn English more effectively. We also post, you can post your stuff, you can improve your English by posting, by commenting. We have different people who can also help you improve your English, because it's like when you have a person who is dancing, right? You will start dancing as well. Remember that video when I was talking about grammar? So it's the same thing. So when you join English speaking school, you can book a free call with me and I will talk about how you can get a game plan to help you improve your English, all right? And then you can transform your English with courses, challenges, calls, and things like that, right? So this is the only thing I sell. And this is the community I wish I had when I was trying to improve my English speaking skills. So link in the description, and I hope that you enjoyed this guide. Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next video. Bye-bye.